Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. The basic premise of today's video is a real quick and easy question for you guys. I mentioned in, I think 2 weeks ago video, the Jeep introduction, that I was having some technology issues. Without going into a ton of detail on that, what they really boil down to is probably Windows Movie Maker, which is what I've been using to edit all the videos so far. I doubt many of you have watched the first tech issues video I made some months ago, so I can maybe do a part 2, but the real issue here is that I'm just running into limitations, I believe, based on Windows Movie Maker. You can do an awful lot with it. I am probably nowhere near as good as I could be with it, but I don't think it's worth any amount of effort to continue down that path with Windows Movie Maker. It's discontinued, it's cumbersome, it lacks a lot of features I already wished it had, and to just move on. But with moving on, if you didn't see that first video, this is my primary daily beater laptop. This is a Dell E6410. This is probably about a 7 or 8 year old laptop at this point. It's running Windows 7. It's got 8 gigs of RAM, I've got a terabyte SSD in it, blah, blah, blah. This laptop is just fine for a lot of things, but the big issue I have is that Microsoft is ending support for Windows 7. They've already ended support for Windows Movie Maker, so on and so forth. So it's probably time for me to just kind of retire this laptop and move on to something new. This is a Dell E7440. This is the most modern or most powerful laptop that will work with my docking stations. If you don't know, this back here is a laptop dock. This is actually part of another stand that I actually have a 46-inch TV sitting on. But the way this works is you just take your laptop, you just set it down on there, push it down, now it's connected, and if you look in here, it'll show you that it's charging and all that good stuff. So all your monitors and USB stuff and all that, you don't have to unplug them from the laptop every time. You can just hit a eject button and walk away with your laptop or put it back on the dock. And most manufacturers have moved on from these docks now, which sucks because I really like them. So anyway, that's why the 7440 is as far as I can go, because Dell doesn't make docks compatible or laptops compatible with docks anymore. This guy and the 6410 are really not all that different in terms of raw processing power or anything. The big thing this guy brings to the table is that it'll support 16 gigs of RAM. The other one's maxed out at 8. And this guy came with Windows 10 pre-installed, so I don't have to buy a Windows 10 license. I should already own one on this guy. And along with this transition, I'm going to be switching off to Sony Vegas for video editing. Based on the recommendation from Fuzzy Dice Projects. He's a subscriber of my channel, which is awesome. That guy's great. He was one of my first commenters. It's, you know, I'm hoping he sees this one because I'm a big fan, and it's meant a lot to me that he's, you know, shown some support for the channel. But anyway, that's what he uses on his videos. He's recommended it to me. A lot of people say this is pretty competent and pretty easy to use. This is a slightly older version, so it was also cheap. This was like $50, something like that. Oh, and I didn't mention it. This laptop is also not new. It's just the newest one that will work with my docks. It's probably a 5-year-old laptop, and it was 200-ish bucks, something like that. But anyway, since I'm moving on software, and since, you know, I've paid for this software, it only makes sense to install it on the most modern or most competent laptop and all that good stuff. Well, that comes along with some other issues, namely being that when you buy a used laptop, you know, it's going to have a used edition of Windows on it. You know, I don't know if somebody freshly loaded this, or basically I'm saying I don't trust this thing to not have a ton of viruses that are going to steal my credit card numbers and stuff like that. So my advice to people is, if you get a used computer, always put your own installation of Windows on it. And the first step of me to being able to do that, because this thing also came with a really tiny SSD in it, is I've got to yank the back off of it and see what kind of SSD is actually currently installed in it. and then go about reinstalling Windows 10 and all that good stuff. So what I'm really saying here is that this laptop and moving editing software and everything else is a project in its own right. What I'm trying to gauge is whether or not you guys have any interest of following along with that. The last thing I want to do is take the subscriber base I have now, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. I know I have at least a few people that watch just about every video. But the last thing I want to do is alienate you guys with content you're not interested in. If you don't care anything about the creator side of YouTube, or you want to go to someone who's more authoritative on that topic. I got 40 videos and like 25 subscribers. I'm not an expert. If you want to seek out that information from someone that knows more about what they're talking about, or you don't care about computer stuff, and for that matter, other tech stuff, I got tons of projects that are not just automotive. I alluded to that in the introduction to the Broken Life series. So really what I'm asking you guys is this something you want to see? Is this a project you want to follow along? If not, I guess I won't continue on. I'm going to intentionally put this up today, and today is a Saturday, which is a day I never upload regular content on. It's always Tuesdays and Fridays, with Fridays being the project day and Tuesdays being like tool reviews and tech tips and stuff. But any kind of like maybe a random video like this, I'll always try and make those extra on-off days during the week or something like that. But the risk is, this is still a project for me. This is still going to occupy a lot of my time. Learning Vegas, although I'm sure is not impossible, I'm sure it's also going to take some of my time. The issue I'm having right now with some of my footage on Windows Movie Maker is Windows Movie Maker is just outright refusing to process some of it correctly. So I kind of have to do this to be able to make more automotive project videos. So anyway, you guys let me know. Is this something that's okay or not? And as a quick introduction to what that's going to look like if we continue forward, I'm just going to pop the back off of this guy quick and see what kind of SSD it has so I can get a new, larger one ordered. The first step of doing that is going to be to remove the battery. So we just kind of have an eject tab there. Battery lifts out. Then I have to take these two screws out. And I already see bad signs because this one, you can see the paint's been disturbed, so somebody's been in here before, and that's never good news with a used laptop. If there's one thing people tend to exhibit more, I guess, flagrant incompetence with than maybe their cars, it's their computers in some cases. And those two screws don't match, which I'm betting is also not good. Now I should be able to just pull this forward. Yep. And slip it on off its little hooks. There we go. And one thing that's nice about a lot of these older E-Series laptops is this is actually metal. So they're not very prone to becoming heat soaked, cracked or anything like that. But it looks to me like this guy has a standard 2.5-inch SSD in it right now. But it does appear that it also supports mobile SATA. So mSATA support. So what I think I'm actually going to do is go ahead and order an mSATA SSD to populate this small slot, and then I'm likely going to order a traditional hard drive style for this drive bay over here. In my 6410, I have a terabyte SSD of this form factor, and it still has a optical drive in it, and you can remove the optical drive, so the DVD drive, and you can buy a caddy to put a second drive in it, and that's what I did there. So in my other laptop I have two hard drives, basically, just one's an SSD. So anyway, I see that this should have mSATA support. This bay is not populated, so that is probably the one I will order first, and then I will probably just put like a 2 terabyte hard drive in over here. So on the hardware side of things, this is what a tech video is going to look like. It's going to be me doing stuff like this. And like I said, I'll have to cover how to obtain the Windows 10 installation files to be able to reload onto this thing. After I put the new drive in it, I'll probably have to cover how to transfer stuff from one drive to another, because the first thing you do with any used computer is you back up the original drive it came with, just in case if everything else goes wrong, you've got that to use. So there'll be a lot of stuff like that. So you guys let me know if that's something you want to see. And I kind of hate to be this way, but I don't really have a choice. It could be that or nothing. If you don't mind waiting for a few weeks or a month or whatever for new mechanical videos to come out, that's cool. You know, I don't want to rock the boat and start confusing you guys about what kind of content I intend to offer. Give you a little more background. The only two things I've ever had any kind of aptitude for at all are like mechanics and computers, and I actually have more natural aptitude toward this kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, this, and I do mean literally this one, is the first home computer I ever owned. And when I say I mean I was like 3 years old when my parents went to Kmart to buy this thing. I remember the day we bought it. I think by the time I was in like kindergarten, I was like getting old computer magazines at the time that had like games written out in code in the back of them that you could then, you know, type into your TI 99-4A here and have a game when you were done. And I won't tell you I understood what I was doing, but that's when I started my life story with computers. Is I was 5 years old trying to type games into this very keyboard to have more games to play. So anyway, yeah, I've got, you know, easily 10 more years computer experience, maybe even 15 than I do any kind of automotive experience or anything like that. So if you guys like this stuff, I have stuff like this. I'm not going to become just a computer channel or, you know, lazy game reviews. Like, we're probably never going to talk about this TI again. It's probably going to go right back in the closet. So anyway, let me know what you guys think, and we'll take it from there. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Really appreciate it. This is Saddington Bear. He's our channel mascot and project supervisor, and he would like you to know I try to make a project video every week. You might be interested in some of these other videos. Take a look and let me know what you think. Thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it.